everybody, we're gonna go ahead and talk about Dune Messiah today. This was a really interesting one, so this starts with just non-spoiler thoughts. This was a really interesting one for me specifically because my dad's a huge fan of just Dune, the first one, and my brother read it and my mom read it, and we decided to read Dune Messiah completely as a family. So that was a really interesting idea. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed just like reading everything, all of us together. And we all had very mixed opinions, and I really enjoyed that discussion. So I'm gonna just kind of preface it at the beginning, just saying that I'm trying to separate myself from just the general experience of enjoying reading something with my family from the actual work, the actual book. So we're gonna try to do that today. We'll see how successful I am. It's quite hard to talk about this book spoiler free because it is a sequel. If you've read Dune, it is quite different than Dune. It is a lot shorter. The pacing is a lot quicker. So I do like that. You know that I like a pretty quick pace in general, though I can do some longer, slower books. But some of my longer books just have good pacing, and that's another whole discussion. But I really feel like I need to talk about this with spoilers. So spoiler free, it was quite a mixed bag. I have a lot of positives and negatives. I can tell you one of the positives, spoiler free, is just I really enjoyed getting to know the characters better than the last book. So Paul in the first one was a little bit of a Gary Stew. If you don't know that term, it's just that he's like kind of too good, so he can kind of get boring because he doesn't really have a lot of flaws in the first one. He has some, so I wouldn't say he's a perfect Gary Stew, but he was a bit boring in the first one. More the world building and the other characters were more interesting to me in the first one. But the second one, I'm much more interested in getting to know Paul and getting to know the other characters. And some negatives, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just so different from the first one, and I liked the first one a lot better. But for the negatives, I really need to go into spoilers. So we'll talk about positives and negatives more in the spoiler section, which I think we'll go into right now. There's not a ton I can say spoiler free. So let's go into spoilers. Apologies if you haven't read Dune Messiah and Dune, obviously. I wouldn't go beyond this point. Spoiler warning here. All right, so positives and negatives. I loved getting to know Paul better, getting to know the Golem better, and separating him from his previous self and going back and forth. So that was so interesting. Getting to know Aaliyah better. But a negative is that Chani had so much less of a role, which was sad because I really liked her in the first one. I'm very interested to see what the movie is going to do with that because obviously Chani is such a big name. The actress is Zendaya. So I'm wondering if they're going to change her storyline in the movie. So that'll be interesting to see. Just for reference, I haven't watched the second Dune yet, and I really need to. So I'm gonna do that soonish. Another positive is we get to see both sides of the conspiracy in this. We get to see the establishment with Paul and Aaliyah, and we get to see the conspirators against the establishment on the other side, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed seeing both sides so much and getting to go to that meeting where they're trying to overthrow the government and everything. It just was really fun time. I love seeing the bad guys. And then a negative that is also tied into a positive here. There was hinted that there was gonna be incest. The conspiracy was trying to get Paul and his sister together, and this really took me out of it. I honestly, and I probably overthought it, the entire read through was like, please let there not be incest, please let there not be incest, please let there not be incest. And it kind of ruined the experience to me. The positive is that there, in the end, wasn't. They didn't get together, thank goodness. I would have been so out of it if that had happened. But it did kind of ruin things for me because the whole time I was waiting for it. So that just kind of ruined a lot for me. So that just, it's still a negative. You're gonna hint something. It's one of those, I forget what it is. If you're gonna show the gun, it better be fired by Act 3 or something. And it just kind of took me out of it, to be honest. I just really hated that they were hinting at that and then it just never came to fruition. And also, I don't want there to be incest in my books. I'm sorry. I'm old-fashioned that way. If y'all think incest is great and it's a book, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to read that. I'm sorry. So it just kind of ruined the whole feel for me going through. And I don't really want to talk about it anymore. If you disagree, I'm sorry. I don't really want to talk about it. Another positive, let's just go to a positive because I don't want to, yeah. Another positive is it did have better pacing than the first one. There were parts in the first one that I was just like, okay, let's move it along. But Dune Messiah is shorter and it is a lot more action-packed. There is a lot of talking, but like I said, there's a conspiracy going on and you already know there's a conspiracy going on. So the conversations are a lot more like tension building than the first one, I feel like. So the pacing, I feel like, was much better in the second one. But the last, I wish I hadn't ended on a negative. I'm sorry I'm ending on a negative. It just worked out that way. The last one is that there's less world building. I really missed learning about the people of the world, learning about the cultures, learning about like how Arrakis is so different than the water planet. I just really liked that kind of thing, and it made this book feel more like a political thriller than an actual sci-fi. And that kind of bummed me out. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, but the same thing happened, this is a complete side, the same thing happened in Ender's Game. I love the sequels to Ender's Game, the Bean sequels, not the Ender sequels, I haven't read those, but the Bean sequels, I love those, but they do kind of take you out of it and it doesn't feel sci-fi anymore. It's on the planet and it's more like a political thriller. And I do like that. It's just like, I really enjoyed Dune and I really enjoyed the different planets and I wanted it to be more spacey, I guess, for me. So I was a little bummed there was less culture and world building in this one. There were some, we got to know like the city and how the culture has changed a bit. But there was a lot less world building, which just kind of bummed me out a bit. And now I'm ending on kind of a negative note, and I don't like doing that, but it is a mixed book. I didn't really enjoy it that much. What I enjoyed was spending time with my family and talking about books and reading the same book as my family. So to me, that was more the positive than the actual book we were reading. And it did make it more fun that we didn't really like it that much. So that was fun. So I'll end it on more that note. Maybe that's slightly a positive note. But yeah, I would read it still. I would recommend it just because it's an interesting take on after you've won, what then, which I feel like a lot of series just doesn't go into. It just ends with you winning. But then, what then is a great question to ask. So I do recommend it for that thought. But yeah, I think that's all for today. I hope y'all have a great week.